Good morning, y'all. I felt the need to make a video going over bolt-on performance modifications. Who's better, what's better, who makes the higher quality product, whose product flows better, etc., etc., right? So, with that being said, upfront and honest, I am a West Coast Saws dealer. I do offer a discount on some of their products if I'm building your saw and you elect to go with West Coast. I am also a Red Beard Saws dealer. I do get a discount on some of their products, and if I'm building your saw and you elect to go with some Red Beard products, I will pass that savings on to you as well. So, straight up, no BS, no bipartisanship or personal, attachments. I want to be straight up and honest of what my opinion is between the manufacturers. Maybe not the manufacturers, but certain products the manufacturers make. All right, so let's start off with the mufflers. Here I have my personal 462, and I got a straight shot for it. Here's an 044 that I just made a trade deal on with a buddy of mine, and I've got the bark box on it. Here is my personal 400, and I have the Undaunted muffler on it. Excuse me. So, which one's better? It's personal opinion. It's what you like in a saw. So, here's the facts. The 462, neither one of these, I'm sorry, not the 462, but the straight shot, neither one of these, the bark box or the Undaunted, is going to give you the amount of overall performance gain the straight shot does. That's a fact. Straight shot just gives you a little bit more of that higher RPM, that higher torque band power. West Coast Saws, again, it doesn't give you the performance max that the straight shot does, but it gives you a significant performance bump, and it has a little bit deeper, richer tone to it. One of the things some people don't like about the straight shot is they don't care for the tone of it. They say it's too loud. Whatever. So you get a little bit more higher performance with the straight shot. You get a little bit lower tone and maybe a little bit more retained torque in the mid band with the bark box. The Undaunted, to me, is kind of the best of both worlds. So the Undaunted is very similar to the original straight shot design. As you can tell, it's very similar, right? Egan has since done some performance enhancements and done some re-engineering and gotten a little bit more out of these. But this is very similar to the old straight shot design. I don't have one to show you. To me, this is kind of like that middle ground. It still retains a little bit more mid-range torque like the bark box does, but it gives you a little bit higher performance overall as the straight shot does. Now, it's just all a matter of opinion. The straight shot is a little bit thicker material, which he also gives you longer bolts for that, because you cannot use the factory bolts to bolt this in. So it's a little bit thicker material, it's a little bit heavier, it's a little bit higher pitched, but gives you higher overall performance. The bark box, you can use your factory screws, zips right in. Doesn't give you as higher performance as this, but it gives you a little bit more retained torque in that mid band. Has a little bit deeper tone to it. Some guys like the sound of the straight shot versus the bark box. Again, this is all just personal opinion. It has nothing to do with my affiliations with any of these. The Undaunted, like I said, kind of like middle ground of both. You give good performance, gets a little bit more, gets about the same torque, maybe a little bit less in the bark box, but it gives you good torque, gives you good RPM, good acceleration, just not to the level the straight shot gives you. So, which one is my favorite? Cosmetically, I love the way the Undaunted looks. Overall performance, you cannot beat the straight shot. The bark box is that good middle ground for someone who just wants a good work saw. Stainless steel, T7 aluminum, CNC machined. So, like I said, cosmetically, love the looks of the Undaunted. Straight up performance, the Egan Straight Shot has it all day long. Just for a good overall, good mellow, higher RPM build, just a good overall work saw, there's nothing wrong with the Bark Box. A little bit thicker material on the Straight Shot, a little bit heavier. A little bit thinner than the Straight Shot, a little bit thinner. And the T7 aluminum, I can't speak for the longevity of the quality, but it's pretty powerful. I mean, they have a video of them running over one of these with a freaking Chevy Tahoe and it didn't even touch it. So I don't think there's going to be an issue with quality on that. All right, that being said, let's talk about air filters. Here we have the Egan Performance, pretty much the older steel universal style. And here we have a Redbeard. West Coast doesn't make one like this, like the universal style. So I'm just using these for reference purposes. As far as the best filtration you're gonna get, you can't beat the Egan Performance filter on that. The Redbeard still does good. Still gives you the foam flow, still gives you good particulate collection. The couple of West Coast air filters that I've seen, I've had one that come in on a 500 and I had one that come in on a 261. I will say this, the 261 was one of the dirtiest freaking saws I've ever had at my shop. I had to clean that thing for 30-45 minutes before I even disassembled it. However, whenever I pulled the air filter off, there was not a single speck of anything inside that carburetor flow area. So it did good. Better particulate collection, still good. West Coast, from what I've seen, is still good. Now, when we're talking about Redbeard, they also make various other ones. I think this one's for my, let's see here. This is for a 400. So this is going to go on my personal 400. Great, great air filter. Nothing wrong with it. Egan makes this model also. He has a little bit different attachment setup. He has a little plastic connection that you bolt in, and then he gets the same air filter. This is that well, I can't remember. I think it's Unifilter. I can't remember, honestly. I'm not gonna lie. But it comes pre-oiled, and all you do is you put your cage, attach it to the cage, and then you put your air filter over it, and it's ready to go. These do not come pre-oiled. You get you some good Bel-Ray oil or Lucas air filter oil. Give it a good coating. It's on you. So, which one's better? Matter of opinion. I personally think Egan gives a little bit better particle collection as far as this model goes. But as far as like the 400, 462s, 261s, 500i, I've had no problems out of the Redbeard or the West Coast that I've seen. So it's your choice, y'all. I don't have flow meters and stuff like that to test which one flows better, but they're all pretty close. I have researched enough to know that there's not a lot of difference in them. And then you also have max flow. If that's your thing, go with max flow. I personally don't care for the big bulky box on the back of them that you skin your knuckle every time you try to start your saw, but they give great performance gains and they are very good at collecting the dust. There's nothing wrong with them either. So, air filters, it's your choice, y'all. I mean, I want to say this is $60-something on Egan's website. Redbeards, I think, are like $50. For this one, I think it's $50. Again, West Coast doesn't have one for this model, but theirs are also in that $50 to $60 range. So it's really your choice. They all flow well. They all collect the dust well. It's y'all's choice, So as far as that goes, air filters, you can't go wrong with any of them. If I had to say in this particular model, this one is definitely probably the higher quality as far as collection. But cost versus what you're looking for. It's your opinion. It's whatever you want. You can't go wrong with any of them. All right, let's go to dogs. So I got my OEMs on my 462, But I have some Egan's on my 400, and I have some West Coast on this 044 that I've getting rid of. So here's my stance on these. The West Coast, I have no issues with them. I personally have not had any problems with them. I haven't had any customers come back saying that they broke on them or whatever. You know, I'm not speaking for quality or warranty for the individual companies, because that's not me. That's not my opinion. That's not my fact. I have no dog in that hunt. So as far as just quality goes, here's how I feel on the dogs. All right, so it depends on what you want. The West Coast saws are a little bit thinner, a little bit lighter weight. Their main point here is a little bit lower than what the Egan's sit. And you can tell, so these are shorties, and these are just Egan's profile. Egan doesn't have two individual things. He just has his profile that he sets up for his size saw. So these are the shorties, and these are the Egan. Again, a little bit thinner, a little bit lighter weight. Egan's a little bit thicker, a little bit heavier weight, a little bit more rigid, a little stronger. So, matter of opinion. The other thing I do like about the Egan's is usually whenever you set your bar, this dog is almost dead level with the bottom of your chain. So I like the pivot point that the Egan dogs give you. That being said, there's nothing wrong with the West Coast. They're a great product. They say sit a little bit lower whenever you're engaging your chain. They're a little bit thinner, a little bit lighter, a little bit thicker, a little bit heavier. Price on them, if you order these straight from West Coast, I think these are $57 or something like that. The Egan's are $35 to $40. So a little bit more expensive, a little bit lighter weight. You know, it just depends on how you like the design of your dogs as far as the way your chain engages. A little bit thicker, a little bit more rigid, a little heavier. The profile of the tooth right here kind of engages at your fulcrum point on your chain level. And so, you know, matter of opinion. What do you want? Great product, great product. Air filters, all these companies have great products. You know, as far as the mufflers go, I've heard a lot of people fuss about the West Coast. Oh, their quality's not good, their welds break. I personally have not seen it. I have not had a customer that's had a complaint. To each their own. All right, I'm not here to vouch for the quality of the company itself. I'm just here to tell you Sorry guys, I got cut off there. What I was saying, I'm just going to tell you the facts that I know. So my personal opinion for the saws that I'm going to have for myself, as far as performance wise goes, and the way that I like a saw to run for me, because every individual is different. On my personal saws, I'm probably going to have a straight shot or the Undaunted. It really just depends on what I'm looking for out of that build. Cosmetically, I like the Undaunted versus the straight shot. As far as overall performance and rigid durability, I like the straight shot. So it really just depends on what you're after. That being said, there is nothing wrong with the West Coast. They make a great quality product. As far as from my experience goes, they stand behind their product as far as my experience goes. And you can't go wrong with any of them depending on what you want and what your personal opinion is for your build. All right? So, as far as the dogs go, I mean, because I'm not big on weight, I probably like the Egan dogs a little bit better, strictly because I like where their point hits in correlation to where the chain stands on the bar. So, you know, Undaunted or straight shot for the muffler for me, with West Coast being right there with them. And then dogs, the only thing that I like is I like how a little bit thicker the Egan's, and then I like the location of the point of the Egan's because of where in correlation it is with the chain. That being said, West Coast, great product, no issues at all. You know, if I had to choose between one or the other, I'd choose either because it doesn't really matter. I'm just giving you my personal opinion again. So yeah, y'all, I just wanted to make this you know, clear where I stand on that kind of stuff. I'm not going to let my personal affiliations with anybody interfere with what I feel like is better or worse, quality versus, you know, thicker, thinner, lighter weight, better performance. It's all up to you as the individual. That's where I stand on them. They're great products, all of them. Undaunted is newer to the world of chainsaws. They've only been doing this for a couple of years, but they're making leaps and strides. They're coming a long way. They're veteran-owned, American-made, great product, and they're steadily developing new products. West Coast has been around for a very long time. They've developed a very good name for themselves. Everybody knows who West Coast Saws is. Egan Performance. Egan is known as one of the best builders in the country, bar none. All right? Let's be honest about that. Egan is one of the best builders there is. He knows what it takes to get performance out of a saw. So he takes that experience and that knowledge that he has, he's put that into his designs, and it shows. So, it's whatever y'all want. I will get you anything that you want if I'm building your saw. Yes, I can give you a little bit of a discount on West Coast. I can't really get you much of a discount on Undaunted. Redbeard, I can get you a little bit of a discount on their products. And another mention is Dumpy Bunny Designs for dogs and mufflers. If you go on his website, he also has factory modified mufflers that he does these very nice stainless pipes on. But as far as the 2 series and the 3 series go, Dumpy Bunny Designs stainless dogs are freaking, bar none, the best on the market. I just straight up say that, y'all. I'm not gonna lie. I like the way his tooth extends. As you can see, correlation is pretty much right there at the chain. Rigid, durable, strong, long lasting. You can't really beat these. I hope he starts to develop other products for other models, because I love his product. So there y'all go. All right, that's where I stand. That's my opinion. None of it is fact. It's just the way I feel about things. But I just wanted to clarify this, get this information out there. I can get you any of these products, and it really just depends on what you want. So here it is, guys. I hope y'all like this video. Like and subscribe. Let's get my following up. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the support that I've gotten from everybody, customers, builders, the chainsaw community as a whole. Y'all have been a saving grace for me and my family, and I don't even know how I can express that in any other way. Thank y'all, and God bless.